Hey there, everybody. I am having technical issues tonight, so I apologize for the late start, but it's so good to have you in the studio with me. I'm going to try to figure this out as we go. My phone camera is working, everything's fine. The software, for some reason, isn't syncing up to my Livestream software, so that's why you're seeing a gray screen. And I don't know why. I don't know what's going on. Periodically, this will do this, but I don't know how to, unless, you know what, it may be. Anyway, how are y'all doing while I dink around with this? Let me look on my phone. Maybe I have a network extender, and I wonder if it is picking up. No, it is on the same network. Weird. Or the same Wi-Fi as my computer. Anywho, I don't know why it glitches like that, but hope you all are doing well. We'll see if we can get this. I don't know what else to do because I can't really stop the Livestream software, or that glitches on you guys. Hope everyone's having a good Arctic blast. I think most of the country here in the US is getting it. We have definitely had it here in the mountains. Bad news for sure. It is been very, very cold. I just took off a big wool or fuzzy robe that I was wrapped in, just because I didn't want to look ridiculous for y'all. I should have probably just looked ridiculous and been warm. It's probably like, I suppose it's 50 to 60 in my studio, so it's not cold, but it's not warm. But yeah, it is very cold outside, but it's getting warmer. Tomorrow we're supposed to get up to 17 degrees Fahrenheit, so that'll be an exciting switch, and we're headed towards much warmer temperatures, so we are getting there. I have been in the studio the last a few days this week, continuing to work on my art with the oils. Let's see if waiting for the Wi-Fi connection. Okay. Let me see if I can start this software. Let's try. I restarted my phone, so we'll see. It is coming on the software and is not showing up on my Livestream software. So I'm not going to continue to whine about that. Let me see. Last time I think we took which I hate to do every time, but I think we took the camera off of the palette. I need to really get this figured out. I pay for this software, so the fact, and they'll do an update and then it seems like it gets solved, but it doesn't. So that's a little frustrating. I may have to, I'm used to this software and it works for what I want to do, but I know there are other softwares out there. They're just not as good for the type of streaming I do. So we'll just have to see if we can get something, because I may just have to switch to a better software. Of course, if I didn't have to use my phone, that's probably another solution. If I was making just tons and tons of money from art, speaking of, I have a studio sale going on right now that is, I am trying to rehome several of the paintings that are in my studio, just because I am just because I need more space for the work that I want to do, you know, now in this new year. So you can find that on my website at stephenerice.com if you are interested, or if you follow me on Instagram or anywhere else, you probably saw that. But yeah. Okay, let's see if we can do this as a workaround. Let me put this up. All right, it's gonna adjust. The only thing is it adjusts, the camera auto adjusts, so it makes it dimmer than it is because of the light. So we'll see if this will get us through, at least, since my phone is just not working. Okay. Let me try it one more time. Nope, it just goes to gray like that. Okay. Let's... Nope. Again, I apologize for that. All right, well, we'll just see. All right, this is the reference I'm working from today. I apologize you can't see my palette because I'm using that camera now for this, but you can participate in the live stream wherever you're watching. As most of you know, you can ask questions, make comments, send emojis, whatever you'd like to do in the comments. I enjoy interacting with you through the comments. All right. As I said, I have been working on some paintings. So I worked a little bit, I'll hold this up so you can see it, a little bit more on this one that I think I had shown you last week. It was the very first attempt at oil paints. And then this one is still in kind of a block-in stage. But this is the one we started last week. Let me back this up just a tad. Try to remove the glare. So this is Spearfish Canyon right outside where I live. And so I continue to work on this a little bit. I'm going to go in. It is very much block-in stage, so I'll go in eventually and put more of the tree line there, but had to kind of redo that a little bit. But you can see much better some of the brush work, or I don't know if you can see the brush work. It's going to adjust, which is what I want to refine over the next year, is kind of my style and my technique. And so that's what I'm working on there, is how can I be more efficient with my, let me move you back here, with my brush work as I learn this new medium. All right. So again, apologize for the crazy delay. Let me get my, still learning this process. We have more things to consider, at least that I'm not used to considering with acrylics. I just come in and start painting. Oils do have their advantage, I am learning, but with oils there's a little more, meaning I put on gloves and I have to work a little differently. So we'll put these latex gloves on, then we'll get into this. What I'm going to try to do, again, these very early paintings are just an attempt to learn the medium. So what I want to do tonight is explore I want to put a burnt umber wash on, and let me actually, I need to put my reference photo up here. Okay, let me put that on my screen so I can see it. There we go. And I want to explore how to lay out a painting better. So I see some more people coming in. Welcome, welcome. I'm actually going to take a little bit of mineral spirits and I am going to thin some paint. I'm going to use, actually, I think I'm going to use a burnt sienna rather than burnt umber. Just to create a very thin wash. It's almost like a watery. So let's see. We'll do it's a very kind of red toned, and we'll just put that on across the canvas, see if we can get some of that soaked into the canvas. Again, I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm mimicking what I've seen and I am learning as I go. So let's get this, and then what we should be able to do is get this in, and we should be able to then wipe off any of the extra and block in. This lays the foundation for a very thin, relatively fast drying layer of paint. Okay, so it's toned, kind of a yellow reddish tone. So let's do that, and then I'll clean this brush real quick. Okay, now I'm going to put our lid back on the mineral spirits so we're not breathing that nastiness. Okay, there we go. All right, now what we should be able to do is we should be able to take a little bit of a paper towel and start to define some of our lighter areas. So let's try to just basically drawing, and I already think I am seeing the mistake I made, which is, this is already using the burnt sienna instead of burnt umber was not a wise choice because because it's a red tint, and the red is very difficult to, it's a very strong pigment and it's very difficult to cover. So we'll take some of that out, but live and learn. Okay, so we took the majority of the back off, but what we can do now is, welcome, those of you popping in right now, so glad to have you. All right, now what I want to do is look at this painting and start to put in let's see, some of the larger spots. So we want to put our darkest spots in. So what I want to do is I want to use a relatively large brush. Let's use this one. It's a probably 1-inch brush. And let's take our burnt umber and ultramarine blue. Oop. Mix them. See what we can do. So we get a really dark, that dark, almost black color. Hey there, I'm well. Thank you for popping in. So good to see you. And we'll put our darkest darks in. And then what we want to do is not touch them. So, or as much as possible. So, what I see right now, if I just squint my eyes, is kind of a dark there, our dark there, dark there. I see dark in this corner. Again, it's much easier to go dark over light. And I probably should have used, now thinking about this, process-wise, I should have used my burnt umber and done a drawing, a monochromatic drawing, but we didn't. So, hey there, Shirley. Thanks for popping in. It has been a while for everybody, I think, because during the holidays, I didn't paint at all. So, yeah. Life is good. It's cold here, as it is down there, I know. But we're headed to 17 degrees tomorrow, so it's going to get warmed up. Okay. Now what I want to do is just, again, I'm just squinting my eyes and following the rough idea of the darks, so the shadows, and then we will try to put light on top of this. I think we'll make this pretty dark. I mean, it'll be all green, but let's see. Let's do that too. Since we're the artists, we can decide what makes a good painting versus what the reference. Again, we're just using the reference as a reference. So, let me just kind of draw something in here so that I can get a sense of perspective. And these are basically sketches to learn so that I can learn the medium, but it's also to learn because these are paintings that I want to do eventually for my gallery showing. I was hoping to do that this summer, but I don't know if I'm going to get it done in time. Probably not, because like learning the new medium, etc., and you know, doing all of this will take time. But these are good studies for that, kind of thinking through these paintings many times before you actually do them is really helpful. So as we kind of again, I'm trying to just give the look at the major shapes, and then strategically what I'm thinking is a lot of this is pretty dark. Again, it's easier to go dark over light or light over dark than to darken. So I want to keep as much of this dark as possible, because it's easy to carve out the darkness, or to, so if that makes sense. All right, you see how just putting in some basic values can really create some, I mean, you can see what's going on here, basically. All right. Now, let's look at, we have our darkest darks dialed in. Let's clean our brush. And let's look at what to do next. We want to think about, now, how do we go front to back? Or back to front, sorry. So the next thing is going to be what? What is your guess? If we're going back to front, farthest away from the viewer to closest to the viewer, where are we going? Or what element should we paint next? That's probably a better question. Oh, good grief. Both of these need to be on here. Any guesses from the audience? Y'all are so quiet. The last few times you've been just super quiet, which is fine. All right. Where should we go? How about to the sky? All right, for the sky. Oh, whoops, I'm reaching, stretching for some, I didn't lay out all my pigments. That is one thing that's nice. I have a little container that allows me to keep all my paints covered, and I can put them out and keep them for several days. Okay. Excuse me. All right. Let's look at the sky. What we want to do, I think, what I really want to do, I need to go back and watch that video on creating vibrant skies because it was so good, but I can't remember the method. Basically, you took a color like this, and instead of just going straight blue, you mixed another color with it. But let's see what we can do. All right, we'll take the blue. Let's put that right over this. We may have to do 2 coats because let's bring it right in there into some of those dark spaces. Actually, let me go do the rest of the blue first, and then we'll take it into the dark spaces, but we'll see if we can get a sky on here. Blending into this a little bit gives us that. We can always put sky holes back, so we'll bring the sky into kind of creating intentional muddy paint. But it gives us, and what it does is it gives me a pattern to choose later to follow or not follow when I decide to how much sky I want showing through in this painting. But we begin to see some of the elements of all right. Now we're coming back to front. All right. Now what I did there was I added a little tiny bit of green and white to the blue to create some atmospheric effect. So that's why you see now like different, there's not really clouds in this sky, but you can see the atmospheric effect of it. Okay, now I really need to think, what do I need to do now? I think we can block in the, well, let's just try it. Ouch. Let me reach for my greens. Let's see, this I think is a, I don't know. My sap green, or my yellow, phthalo yellow green. And then sap green. We're gonna try to see if we can, I'm not sure which is, I need to play around. I bought all these greens, but I need to play around with them a little more off camera, I think, and see. I wonder what this pigment, that's dark. Okay, that's more blue. So that phthalo is the blue, and this is even more blue. Okay, so I kind of, let me show you what I was just talking through, if it shows up on my camera. So this is the sap green, this is my phthalo yellow green, and this is a phthalo, what is it called? Vidrian hue, I think. Oh, sorry, I'm reaching. Viridian hue. Okay, so this has the most blue in it. Next blue, most green yellow. So it's cooler to warmer. So that just helps us know kind of where we are when we lay in our green. So what I want to do is take a little bit of this sap green and I want to mix it with straight up cad yellow, because I want very, very bright green. I want to begin to put in sense of that, but okay, I don't want to go that direction. Hey Bob G, thanks for popping in. Yes, it is a total different type of process for those of you that have been here watching my work with acrylics, because you really have to think in layers, because I can't just wait for this to dry and paint over it if I mess this up, because it's still very, it'll be tacky all the way to tomorrow morning. So I have to be really intentional, but it is a great process to think through. Now what I want to do, I think, is take a little of this and let's mix a dark, really dark green. Okay, so I mixed some really dark, and let's go in and see if we can just put more in these shadow spots, kind of emphasize where the shadows are and start introducing very, again, going light over dark will allow us to, I mean, it's easier to go light over dark, very much easier. So even if these are way too dark right now, it's okay, because with all of this shadow area, then I will be able to put in accents much easier, because I can come in here and put in already, just by putting the darks in, the light starts to show up. So that will be much easier as we go, if that makes sense to you all. Okay. Then I can begin to create some forms with this. This is the fun part this is the part that's fun, is kind of, because it's so, I'm back, I feel like I'm back where I started, which is just really the beginning. Like, I was, like, just figuring this out. I feel like I'm starting over in a way. I am, but it's also really exciting because it's all new, and every time, I remember telling you all when I first started with acrylics, like, I couldn't blend greens. Remember that? Way back when I was still in Little Rock, and I was so frustrated, and I said, I know there's going to be a time when all of this will come naturally, so I'm trying to just enjoy the process. And it was true. There came a time when it wasn't as difficult. And what's exciting is even switching mediums like this, like, because I do think I did it the right way, waiting till I had a basic understanding of some of these broader artistic principles of value, shape, form, all of that, because it allowed me to really, and has allowed me to, now when I'm transitioning to oil, even though I don't know what I'm doing with oils, I do kind of have an idea what I'm doing overall, so that really helps. And it helps me deconstruct things much easier. Again, we're moving furthest away from us to closest, and we want to begin to give ourselves the idea of this shape. I've chosen to take this a little bit darker than I know that top of the thing is glaring. I apologize. Again, my camera, having to adjust the camera is the challenge. We want everything to draw us right there, so that's the goal. Put our point of highest contrast right there. Notice that just with the underpainting, then all of a sudden we see the path and we see the shadows and all of this. Now what I want is for the eye to kind of zing, 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 zing to the back. So I want it to lead the shadows. This is why I want it to lead compositionally, like the lights to lead the eye right back there. And then I'm going to take the light on the grass and point the eye back in there as well as these points of light back here. So that's what I'm thinking compositionally. If that makes sense to you. All right. But notice how this works even without any real color, just darks, lights, and a little blue. So now, is that a photo you took? Yes, it is, Bob. This is a aspen. It's an aspen grove, I guess, if aspens grow in groves. What I learned, which is interesting, is the aspen grow from the same root system. And so all of these trees are essentially the same one or two root systems, and they all kind of shoot up on either side of this path. So when you get in the middle of them, I call it like the cathedral, because it feels like you're in a cathedral, and you look up through they're very tall. You look up through the center of them, and they're gorgeous in the fall when all the colors are on them. But yes, this is a picture I took. It's on the Michelson Trail outside of Lead, where I live. The Michelson Trail is an old reclaimed rail bed that's been turned into several hundred, 150 miles, I think, of trail. And this is one of the stretches on the Englewood Trailhead, I believe. But one of my favorite spots in the hills when I get out onto the... And if we do get up to 50 degrees, as is predicted, although I did hike it in the winter last year, that's the first time I saw it, or I found this stretch of the trail. If we get up to 50 degrees by next Sunday, as they are predicting, I will be back out on the trail, snowshoes or snow boots, and enjoying that 50 degrees. Got to take the breaks whenever we can in the winter up here. Okay, now working furthest away to closest now, and we have our values kind of established. I'm really happy with this, with what's going on here. So let's see. I'm going to take a few. I'm going to take some progress photos. yeah, once I learn the system of how to do this, let's see. Now my shadows are established. You can tell even by just placing these shadows, you can start to see the form of the trees. Let me see if I can turn this off. Nope, it's still glaring. Okay, so, oh, maybe if I go like that. There, you can maybe see better the form of the trees, the shadows. Then it's going to be very easy to just put one or two marks for some trunks, a few marks for, you know, vegetation, if we get this all blocked in correctly. So now I think what I should do is come in. We don't need to do a lot of adjustment to these spots. The underpainting is fairly sufficient, but I do want to put some marks in. So one of the things that I'm going to be progressively working on is mark making, meaning where do I, or how do I minimize the number of marks, making the marks that I want to make count. So because a satisfying painting is going to be one in which the marks at each layer show through. So I have some beautiful marks in these trees, so I don't want to cover all of that up with so much detail work. So that means that I have to be very intentional about the marks I make and how I want that to appear. But it will make me a better painter overall because I will have the minimal number of marks to project what I'm trying to project. So see what I mean? I put in literally, I think, maybe 6 or 8 brush strokes, and all of a sudden I start to have some form. One, two, three, 4, 5. See what I mean? Just turns some very simple and I'm basically using the edge of my brush to scrape away, and I don't need honestly much more than that. Just the suggestion of tree trunks. Okay, I'm not going to mess around too much with that. That's part of, let me finish this. That's part of the fun to me, is the ability to take some paint and with very little, like, create an illusion of something that's not there when you get up onto the painting. And that's what I enjoy so much about going to, like, art museums, is you can get right up on the painting and see the actual marks that the artist made. And I've mentioned John Singer Sargent before, but Sargent was a master at that. He'll suggest form with 1 or 2 brush strokes, and you're convinced, it's this. He was particularly good at beautiful fabric textures, particularly in women's dresses. And so you'd have this woman with gorgeous muslin or silks, and Sargent would create a whole illusion. And when you get up there, it's literally 1 or 2 brush strokes indicates a whole mix of the fabrics. So this year I'm determined to be more disciplined about getting into the studio. I've actually marked time on my calendar that's studio time. So we'll see how that works. But I really want to do more than these, because these live streams have kept me consistent to a point, but I need more than just a couple hours a week. So if I really want to progress in the way that I want to progress this year, so now I have to look at this. How do I want to convey this? So I've been painting. I have a couple of days that I paint or try to get a session in, and I've thought of doing more live streams, not full live streams like this, but just kind of watch me in the studio live streams. So I was thinking maybe on TikTok or something, doing some more live streaming, but I'm not sure exactly. Not sure exactly how that will work. Be easier to. That's how I started, actually, with my students. I just started going live on Instagram during the pandemic, and mostly it was just my school students who would pop in and say hello. And then I thought, well, let me do this. I was enjoying it so much that I thought, let me do this on YouTube and Facebook, etc. So I started doing that, and that's how this whole thing grew. And now we're at Tonight was episode 125, y'all. I mentioned the studio sale that I have running right now. I'm trying to liberate some of the paintings I have in the studio. You can check those out on my website, and it's linked on my Instagram if you need to find it, but it's just my name, StephenERice.com. But doing this many live streams, of course, I have tons of paintings. I think it was 45 paintings I put up for sale that were, I thought, decent enough to sell, honestly. So yeah, that's all right, let's look at this. This block seems a little thick, but we can again, it's much easier to go light on dark than to make, and we can make these softer. I think I'm going to take some of this dark with a little bit of this green, do just a hair lighter just to give us cover of this and a variety of nope, don't want to do that. Think where I do want to do. Okay, I want to go back. We're starting to get there, I think. What do y'all think? Okay. I actually just made a decision. I want this to be all pretty dark. And I don't want to... Oops, see how I started to try to paint up there and then it just blended in. So I don't want to... Let's see what we can do though for midtones. Let's take brown and I think green. We want to create a color that is not quite as dark as our other color, but is not bright at all. So I'm mixing in the dark. This is what I'm doing on my palette. I have my real dark over here, and then I'm mixing some brown and green over here to see if we can do some midtones. Midtones are the tones between your darkest darks and your brightest brights. So midtones, I want to create some spots in here. Again, this helps create shape. So it probably won't make a lot of difference to you all. Like, I don't know that you'll be able to see much, but I'd rather be, especially with this medium, I'd rather be much more conservative in how I raise my chroma, the color meaning, and the values than to lose all of my to lose my darks, if that makes sense. Again, because I'm still figuring it out as I go. I really need to get used to using this thing to hold my painting as opposed to me grabbing the sides of it, because when I do that, it moves on me because I am, well, and I leave fingerprints up and down the sides of my painting because so difficult to go back in like I'm trying to do now and put in the darks again, because you have to do thicker paint and you just have to like put it in. So that's a challenge. But I have to learn how to Yeah, I very much want it to feel like you're walking into this cozy, sacred space. That is the feeling. So I'm manipulating, in a sense, I'm manipulating the, I guess you could say that's my artist vision, and I'm manipulating the reference to, because I want to create for the viewer the feeling I had going into this into the space. So I want that feeling of it's enclosed, it draws you in, it opens up once you're in there. Like, I want that feeling to survive for sure. All right, I really like where this is going though. It feels very, it gives the feeling that I want it to give. So now I'm going to quit mucking around because that's going to get really muddy if I do too much. I just want to let it sit for a day or overnight. Trying to think what else I can do. That will I guess I can do the initial blocks of color. So we're going to have a bright spot up there, so we can do that. I think I'm going to have to wait to do much in here with color because it's going to get way too muddy mixing with the dark colors. So Now I'm getting way out of my comfort zone because I don't know what I'm doing at all right now. Just experimenting. I guess I should just trust Bob Ross that there's no mistakes, just happy little accidents. That's what it feels like. Like, I don't know, Bob. I think I could create some mistakes. See there, then you start lifting paint off the canvas. So much to learn, so much to learn. Guys, it's just a barrel a minute. Yeah, I really don't want to lift any of this off because I really like the mark making. Yep, I think I'm just going to not do that. I think I'm going to let it sit and dry until I learn more. But I really did a lot more than I thought I would or could. And yeah, this is really good. I feel it's well blocked in. And it's a good foundation to continue the next step, which will be coming in and putting some more color in here, turning some of these darks, you know, putting more gray in, I think, and having the sharp contrast of the gray as opposed to kind of the brownish undertone. But I think if we put the color on top, it won't take a whole lot, just a few key spots. For example, let me see if I can, you know, a few key spots. And we will have, you know, some kind of highlighted, but that's going to be beautiful back there with some kind of bright yellow. All right, I'm going to let it sit, y'all. Let me take a minute. I also need to give myself a little break. I woke up this morning with some pretty significant lower back pain, so I think I just slept a little crooked. All right, stepping back, I really like where this is going. There's a few things off, but not too much. It's good compositionally, I think, like this large dark swath, the small light swath. I'll probably break up some of this lights down here to take that more into shadow so the light really draws you in. I'll super highlight these areas in here So, and a few spots through the trees, so it just draws you really down to the focal point there, which will be our highest point of contrast. But yeah, I think it's a good first start, or a good initial start. So we'll just, let's see, Adrian is working on an 8 by 5 foot, where my camera's popped up in that. Autumn leaves floating among the trees, and Mike just posted a fabulous photo of a sunset over the valley behind the cabin. Ah, so beautiful. Yeah, they are both super talented. Adrian is I think a Louisiana and Arkansas based, if I remember right, artist, and her husband's a photographer. Really great, gifted people. All right, I'm going to switch you back over here so I can move camera since it's attached, and I'll try to figure out the deal with my other one. But I think we'll wrap it up for this evening. So I want to say thank you so much for joining me. We will be back next Monday, 6 p.m. Mountain Time. I'll continue to work here and bring you along with everything I'm learning. These, as I said, let me show you kind of so you can see outside of the light. I don't know. There we go. Oh, sort of. Okay, so that's kind of where we're going with this one. Trying to show you without getting too much glare on it. But these will be studies for some larger paintings that I want to do. In the next month, I'll be applying for a small grant from the South Dakota Arts Council for this this collection that I'm wanting to do of South Dakota themes or Black Hills themes. So that's something exciting that came across my radar, and we'll be working on that. But doing these small sketches and working on different things to figure out, because this one I think I want to do as a long, narrow painting to give even more feeling of that depth of proportion that you're going in, to this kind of hollowed space. So this really gives me opportunity to kind of work through some of those thoughts. And this one is one of the others. You can't really see it. Maybe if I get close enough, you can. I don't think so. But this is I don't know. This camera is annoys me because it tries to adjust what it thinks you want. But this is the path at Spearfish Falls near where I live, and so this may be one of the paintings as well that goes into the collection. So I'm kind of working through these ideas little by little. You'll get to see some of that come together. I showed you the one we worked on last week, which is coming together as well. I'm going to continue working on this. Again, I did more underpainting, what I would consider underpainting or block in. And then, but I'm pleased with where this is going as well. I just need to work a little more on this, and once it dries. But lots of fun learning things new. I'm realizing my technique's not totally different or my style isn't totally different with oils than acrylics, but it is, as I learn, I'm noticing that it's a different type of art that's coming out. So it's kind of exciting to get to explore again. But anyway, I hope you all stay warm, healthy. I just realized I'm smacking my hands right next to that microphone, and it's probably snapping in your ears. So I apologize, but I hope you stay warm and safe for the next few days as this cold front moves across most of the country. And I will see you next week, Monday night at 6 p.m. Mountain Time. Thanks so much for joining. And like I said, you can check out the studio sale on my website at stephenerice.com. Until then, I'll see you next time. Have a great week, everybody.